What's going on? Charles Botensten here, Botensten Properties International. So, reading this book, you've probably heard of it, or at least read the article, which is the top 5 regrets of the dying, and everyone's read the article. And if you haven't, you should Google top 5 regrets of the dying, and the first one is going to be it. So I read the article, and it really opened my mind on a couple things. Number one is, it's not cliche, but it's not, and it's not even politically correct not to talk about dying, but people just don't talk about it. There's this feeling in the United States, at least, where you're gonna live forever, or live in the moment, but chase the next best thing. And the young kids are not really understanding a couple of things. Number one is the appreciation of the now. Okay, obviously Eckhart Tolle talks about it, which is the power of now. He talks about it in his newest book, which is A Beautiful New World. However, this really talks about actual people that are on their deathbed. So I'll just go over the premise in case you're unfamiliar. I think she's Australian, and she was a hospice worker, which hospice worker, actually, it might even be later. It's when you go in and it's right before someone's gonna die. Maybe 2 to 3 months, maybe 6 months, where they're so weak and they can't even get out of bed to go to the bathroom. They are so weak they can't even feed themselves, and they're just literally on their deathbed. And it's a crazy scenario to even think about. And this first started coming into my mind because my grandma was in hospice care. And I remember looking around. She was in a nursing home. And I just remember thinking, this woman lived an entire life, 90 years. And now she's pretty much in the same bed, the same position, and she just wasn't really responding to anything. What's up, Erwin? And it was crazy, just having that mindset shift that this is gonna be me one day. And I know a lot of people are like, Charles, why are you making this video? And the reason being is that if you don't have any motivation, this is your motivation. Gary Vaynerchuk's talked about it, where you go and you volunteer at a nursing home. I highly recommend that. You could do that. I also just recommend just understanding at one time, everything you've done, everything you've accumulated, all the good and all the bad, all the jealousy, all the rage, all the anger, even the heights of the moment, your first child, getting married, first relationship, first house, graduating college, first job, starting a job, whatever the case is going to come to an end. If you haven't checked also, what's his name, Steve Jobs, his last quote, literally on his deathbed, was unbelievable. Like literally unbelievable. If that doesn't move you to do something, you need some kind of motivation to do something. Sometimes it was a near-death accident. The guy Hal Elrod, who did the morning routine, he had a near-death accident, and a lot of people do this. They either see the light or they almost die, and then they live the life that they've always wanted. And that's essentially what the first regret is: living a life true to themselves. Okay, very important. True to themselves, not because your dad was a banker, not because your mom was a teacher and you have to be a teacher or banker, because they own in engineering. One of my best friends, his dad owns an electrical engineering company where they go in and they do electrical work on new buildings and things like that. He's like, Dad, I don't want to do that. And he was really disappointed, but he's living a life true to himself. Now he's doing sports broadcasting, completely different, has nothing to do with the numbers, but his dad now finally, after almost 15 years of saying, get into it, Dave, get into it, he finally is coming around and be like, okay, you know what, your passion trumps, because his father actually took it over from his father. So really his grandfather started it, gave it to his father, and his father wanted to keep it in the family and give it to someone else. And unfortunately, the son was like, you know what, no. So what do I mean by this? There's a couple things. Highly recommend picking up the book for multiple reasons. Is that you actually hear real life stories, and she paints such a good picture on hearing someone that has lived an incredible life. They went all over the world. They're one of the wealthiest people in Australia, and now they can't take care of themselves, and that not the ego, but they don't want to give up control. They don't want to go to hospice care. They don't want to go into a nursing home because they've done everything their whole life. People value and have to pay bills rather than being true to themselves. Yeah, it's a mixture of both. It's also just who you are. That's the easiest thing. Is it may not even have to do with work, because regret number 2 is working too much. And I'll talk about that tomorrow, because that's what I got up to. So this is the first one, which is living true to myself. If your parents are unhappy, you could be happy. She talks about that she actually had her family didn't want her to move. Some people are like, no, you stay in this small town as a goat herder. You don't travel across the country. And she's like, no, that's not who I am. It's living a life true to yourself. And that could be anything. Your volunteer work. It could be what you believe. You could be a different political party. You could go in and not be religious, or you can be religious. You can, whatever the case is, you live to your expectations and what you want. And I know it's really hard. I know it's super hard. However, I can tell you right now that since reading that, I don't really care, about these lives. I used to care about it. Going live, like, what is he going to say? What is he going to do? What are people going to talk about? What are they going to comment? When he goes Facebook Live in about 4 minutes, what's going to go on? I look at it as, who cares? Who cares? We're all going to die. We're all going to die. All of these videos that I make, and all the videos that you consume and you make, and all the content you consume and create, it doesn't mean anything, because all the people that watched it, cared about it, commented, or whatever, we're all not going to be here in God knows how long. Honestly, for me, 175. So have an awesome day, guys. I'm going to hop over to Facebook Live on my page, which is so I could do my prospecting calls. This is kind of just, unleashing what I've learned. And, at 30, what am I, 32? I think I'm 32. I'm at 32 right now. I'm very blessed that I'm getting this life lesson now, instead of saying, in frustration to hospice work or on my deathbed, live a life true to yourself, not what others expect of you. That's hard. That's hard. And it's not like overnight. Yeah, if you get into a near-death accident, it's overnight. But it's slowly trickling away. And my example is self-development. That's mine. That's mine. That's my lane, okay? People don't like it. They feel weirded out. Not because I bring it up, but they're like, you do videos? What do you do? What do you do? And then sure enough, I just over the years have moved into the people that want to better themselves. They want to go to the gym. They want to eat better. They want to get smarter. They want to get better. They want to get wealthier. They want to do things that other people say, you know what? And I'll tell you right now, this is the last thing I'll let you go on this is, in the book she talks about, is it gets harder and harder as you age. You have to start now, because when you start really hardening your habits by, say, 35, you're fucked. It's really hard after that, because the name of the book is The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. First, read the article, you'll get an idea, but the book actually talks about specific people and makes it really personable. It makes it really, really, really real, because these are real people that are talking about their experiences, and you learn about their entire life, and they're on their deathbed, and they're saying that the number one regret was not living a life true to yourself. So I'm gonna hop over, facebook.com/Botensten, gonna do my live calls, and we're starting 20 minutes late, 28 minutes late, actually 30 minutes late, and honestly, right now, 30 minutes in today's time frame for me is insane. So if you want live prospecting, hop over there. I'm going to cancel this out. Tomorrow's going to be working too hard, and it's not what you think. It's not what you think. That's regret number 2. So have an awesome day. Talk to you guys soon.